Okay, so once upon a time, there was this village. It was almost like a jungle because there was trees everywhere, forest, lots of animals, birds screaming, monkeys, any animal you can think of, it was there. And then surrounding the village was a big city, almost looked like Hong Kong or New York. You know what I'm saying? It looked totally different
Mm-hmm.
than the inside of the village. So the village was where most people came from. Most people didn't even know that the outside city existed. They only sometimes heard it. Depending on how close you were to the city, you can hear it sometimes. But the best people in the village knew about it because it came to them in their dreams. It's like it was something they can feel, they can smell. It's like there, you know what I mean? They just can't prove it's there. Those people are even people that live far away from the city. So the village, it's like a regular village. People wake up in the morning, they feed the animals, they go to work. It's just like a regular village, but sometimes they would hear knocks like that. Some people would be like, "What was that?" Some people would be like, "I didn't hear nothing." So, this is something that happened in the village all the time. But people couldn't explain it. There were old people like grandmas and grandpas sometimes. They would meditate. Sometimes they would tell their stories. But no one's story was the same. Everyone's story was different based on who they are, where they were raised in the village. If they live close to the edge where the city was happening, nobody knows what happens in the city. They just hear it, they feel it. This village that they lived in didn't have things like cars, didn't have things like engines, but that is what they were hearing on the other side: cars, engines, horns. But when you're living in the village, you've never seen anything like that. You've never heard anything like that. So it's weird, you know what I'm saying? It's just weird that you hear these things, you feel them. So one day there was a little boy that woke up on his birthday and his parents made him a cake. They cooked, all of his friends, family, cousins came to his house to celebrate his birthday, but they said, "What do you want? What do you want for your birthday? Anything? We can go get ice cream, we can go fishing, we can go anywhere." And he just kept saying, "I want to go to the city." And of course his parents laughed. They said, "What city? There's no city." You know what I'm saying? You have to have a serious wish. So the little boy said, "No, there's a city. I have dreams about it sometimes. Sometimes when I'm alone and afraid, I feel something protecting me, and I think it's the city." So, of course, no one in the family believed him. They said, "You have to be serious. Just ask for something for your birthday so we can keep going." So the little boy said, "Fine, I'll just do it myself." So, of course, the parents ignored him and they went on to make the food, get the cake, candles. And in the village, the tradition was always when any candle is lit, you close your eyes, you make a wish, and as soon as you blow out the candle, the wish is granted. Now, the only way to get your wish is if you can focus hard enough, concentrate enough. It's already there. The wish is there. But if you can't see it, it's useless to you. You know what I'm saying? So, that was the tradition of the village for thousands of years. This is how a lot of people had a good year. Like, let's say you wanted to be a doctor, you would wish for something like that. Wish for the universe to make it easy for you to be a doctor. Or that year, if you had cancer, you can ask for God to cure you. Things like that. So they made the little boy sit at the table and put the candles on the cake. This is actually true. People actually do believe your wishes come true.
Mm-hmm.
So he makes a wish quietly, and inside he wished, whoever is listening, if you can hear me from the city, keep giving me dreams about the city, please. And keep giving me sounds, keep giving me noises, smells, keep giving me feelings until one day, when I am big and tall, I can come to the edge of the city and you can open a door for me. That was his wish. He was 8 years old. So the boy made the wish, blew out the candles, and the wish was accepted. The universe always accepts your wishes if they are sincere. But he forgot about it, obviously. He was only 8 years old, you know? Continued on his life, playing, going to school, eating, drinking, everything, you know? But he always had this wish when he was 8 years old. He never saw the evidence for it. But deep down he knew something will bring me close to the city. I will prove to my family that there is a city. So he kept going on, going on, going on. Until one day he grew up and he turned 14 years old. Now at 14 in that village, it's almost like you become a man, right? From age 13 to age 14 is a very big transition. You become a man if you're a boy, and you become a woman if you're a girl. So his big task, one of the biggest tasks, you obviously have to do many, many things leading up to that. One of his things is he had to go live in the jungle outside by himself for some time. No food, no clothes, no water. Had to prove that he was old enough to be a man in the tribe, you know? So his father gathered some things for him. Told him this is only enough water, only enough food for 3 days. You have to walk north. Just keep walking. We will not even give you a map. You have to just keep walking straight until all of your food and water is gone. When all of your food and water is gone, then you will know how to survive by yourself. You will find what you need there. Of course, the little boy didn't feel comfortable. He was 13, but you know what I'm saying? That's still a young kid. But he trusted his father because his father told him, I had to do the same thing. My father had to do the same thing. All of us have to do the same thing. So trust me. I will not tell you anything. You just have to keep walking north until all of the food and water is gone. So the boy followed him in his directions, and once he got there, the food was gone. He knew it was, okay, this is the place. So that means that is where you're supposed to start your journey. So for days and months, the boy was fighting off animals like fox, you know what I mean? Snakes, bugs in the middle of the night. No shoes, nothing, you know what I'm saying? He had to learn to survive on his own. And he remembers there's times where he got so scared and so alone and so cold. And the only thing that kept him protected all by himself were his memories of that wish that he made when he was 8 years old. He became so desperate, sometimes thinking he will never see his home and never see his family. But the one thing he can think of, what can I use to get back home? What can I use to survive? And it was one wish that he made that he never saw come true. All the other wishes came true. When he was 5, he wished for a car, like a truck, a toy. When he was this age, he wished for this, he wished for that. All of the wishes came true, except for the one when he was 8 years old. So one night, in the middle of the night, very afraid, very cold, started hearing noises in the dark, seeing eyes in the dark, looking at him, probably a wolf, anything. Imagining the worst, he thought he was not going to survive that night. So what he did was he went inside himself like a turtle in a shell, and he said, "Universe, you remember my wish when I was 8 years old, better than I remember my wish when I was 8 years old. And your promise is you hear all the wishes and you accept them as soon as they are asked. So I ask that you quickly bring to me my wish, or protect me from the night and the eyes that look at me through the night. Do not leave me alone, because I trusted you at a time when there was no evidence for you. And now I really need you to come help me. Help me live through this night, brave and not afraid. Or bring me the door to the other side, to the city." And that is when he heard a big knock. 1, 2, 3. He heard a knock, and then he opened his eyes wide. His chest was beating fast and afraid. Looking around, looking at all of the terrifying eyes, red, glowing in the dark, not knowing who is looking at me, you know? What is looking at me? Am I safe? Are they friends? I'm sorry. Are they enemies? Eventually, the boy kept thinking in his head, "Please open the door to the city or protect me through this night," because he felt like if he was going to die that night, he may as well at least look at the city, even for 1 second, for him to say it's true. The city exists. You know what I'm saying? So the boy keeps praying. This is what most cultures would call praying. Some cultures would call it meditating. And some people, like scientists, they would call it focusing. But it's the same thing. He just kept focusing and focusing on that prayer and believing that someone was listening. And someone said they will bring it to me. So the boy gets tired. It's just like, even though he's afraid and he's being watched by so many eyeballs, he's tired. So he falls asleep by accident. And then the next morning, guess where he wakes up? He wakes up on the edge of the village. Cold, but warm. Half of his body is cold, half of his body is warm. He didn't see a door to the city, but inside he knew. He was protected, and from some miracle, somehow, I don't know if he was carried there by the eyes that were looking at him, or if he landed there because he was meant to land there. But he was laying down on like the edge, like a carpet, between the edge of the village and the beginning of this secret city that no one has ever seen, but everyone hears. You know what I'm saying? So he woke up, didn't have clear evidence, but he can tell. Someone was here, someone protected me and kept me warm. You know what I'm saying? Someone made sure I was safe, and all of the eyes that were looking at me in the dark are gone. There are no animals for me to see. There are no beasts or ghosts. Everyone and everything is gone. So those scary eyes that were red and glowing in the dark, were they friends? I don't know. They definitely could have eaten him while he was asleep, you know? Were they hidden people from the other side, from the city, afraid, too afraid to reveal themselves to him, maybe because they would scare him, or maybe because they were too afraid to reveal themselves. But the boy made sure that he would make it back home that same day, to make sure that he let his family know that his 8th wish had come true, but he just had gotten started. His next wish for his next birthday would be for him to get a closer look. Okay, the end. To be continued.